Hello everybody, welcome back to Artist Archives. My name is Nikki. I am an actress, a writer and an academic, and I'm sitting on a swingy chair, which is why we're moving. And in about 10 minutes, 11 minutes, I am going to be getting feedback on my screenplay from a very talented screenwriter, and I am so excited. Look, let me share some of these accolades, okay? This writer has won the Glasgow Short Film Festival pitch competition. They were selected for the very prestigious Less is More Scottish residency. Their script has been developed as part of the BFI Shorts scheme. They've earned several laurels at competition. They reached the top 5 scripts in the Shaw Scripts Short Film Fund. It's been produced. They were one of the ITV Studios writers, and they've written an original pilot under commission for Sky. That's so huge. And they're also my cousin, which is amazing. I probably will share more details at some point, but for now I'll probably just keep their name under wraps. Yeah, YouTube is a bit of a weird one. It's like, how much do you want people knowing the name of your family, right? I don't think I've ever really explicitly said the names of people in my family on here. So I'm very, very excited to be receiving feedback from her. And she very kindly read the script very quickly. I only sent it a couple of weeks ago, and I was hoping to get the feedback before the end of the month. And it's the 20th, so here we go. I'm not nervous. I'm actually not nervous. I was earlier. She said, so far, she texted me. She said, it's such a well executed concept, absolutely love it, with 2 exclamation marks. So that's nice. And then she also thinks that it needs a few more drafts to make it ready. And she's got lots of notes, and she was just going to type them up. And then I think she got really into typing up her notes, and she said, actually, let's just have a little Zoom call. So we're going to have a little Zoom call in 8 minutes now. And I'm really excited and curious about these notes. I was going to handwrite them, but maybe I'll just type them. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
So that is the update. I haven't said much about this film, but just for a bit of context, it's a feature-length film. It is a horror movie, and it features a young protagonist. And I think that's all I'm going to say for now. The protagonist is young, it's a horror film, and it's feature-length.
So yeah, I would say it crosses the lines of horror and thriller, to be perfectly honest, because I wouldn't classify it as just a straight up horror. I think there are thrilling elements to it as well. So horror thriller, but I always put horror first. I always say horror first because I think that's the most relevant one. To defeat the Huns. Who do I know from? Did they send me down?
I know that he's not consciously thinking about that, but subconsciously, like, he knows what he's doing. So I love that. I'm like, yeah, definitely keep that character the same, because that's something else that she feel out of her depth a little.
Yeah.
She doesn't care for these guys.
She's wild. Oh, okay.
Again, that's
okay,
like,
great.
Really great. Yeah, it's a really great way to, you've deepened their relationship, and yet you haven't done a lot. You haven't said a lot. It's such a tiny thing, but it reveals a whole world.
Yeah.
It's great. Keep that in.
Okay, nice. That was like a very recent ad as well, so I'm glad that works. Yeah.
Honestly, I love it. And I think also, I'm thinking a little bit of it as like Chekhov's bracelet.
How long is this table?
I know. And who is making tables that long?
Yeah.
Appropriately eerie, which I love. But like, that's just something, like, it's one of these things that the story is there so you can work around the how. Like, you can work around the execution. It literally could be, at least it needs to come back into the visual. Because I think the general rule is that yeah, literally, he doesn't have to say anything. You could just see him with you, like, it's fine. Because otherwise, people are like, what happened to that guy? Like,
yeah.
Like, rule of thumb that they don't. Oh, I'm done. That's it.
Oh, hey! Thank you so much. This is so helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So much to think about.
Remember, you're the writer. So.
Hello, so it is a week later, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience of getting feedback on my second, but I'm calling it my first ever screenplay. So what I've done, because my cousin very kindly sent me all the pages of her notes. And so I now have a version which is how she sent it, and then I have my version. I like to organize my notes when I get feedback. So what I've done is now I've taken everything that she wrote, because she wrote, I would say some of the feedback was in, some of the feedback was in chronological order as she read through the screenplay, but then some things are things that came to her. So they weren't necessarily in a chronological order, which is fine. I don't like my notes to be in a chronological order. I like my notes to be in a thematic order. For me, that's not saying, oh, if you give me feedback, put it down thematically. I don't care. I need to put them down in a thematic way. So I have now broken up the feedback into world building notes, which is almost 2 pages. Style, most of her notes are actually on world building, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Style, which is very short. Structure / pacing / foreshadowing, which is about half a page, a little bit more than that. And then character, which again is about that 3/4 of a page. And then miscellaneous, so these are small notes and there were only 2 of them, which is more like a very, very tiny thing to add. So let me talk about my experience overall receiving feedback. It was very exciting. As you could see from the recording, she is wonderful and buoyant and very intelligent, and her feedback was excellent and very detailed. It was actually more detailed, I think, than I was expecting. I think I was expecting more broader brushstrokes on character and plot. And whilst I did get those, I got very nitty-gritty details, which I think will really help. What's quite funny is, and I will at some point, I promise I will at some point, do a larger discussion about the screenplay, exactly what it's about, all of that stuff. For now, I'm keeping it vague, and I hope that's okay. And I hope that's okay. But like I said, horror thriller vibes, and okay. Sorry, so many things. Okay, number one, the first thing is there are a few films that I have as a comp to this film that I'm working on, and there's one in particular that I think I'm always saying it's this meets this, right? This, which is the comp that I really think this film works with, she immediately was like, oh, this is a bit like this, like go read this. And I was like, honey, I've watched it, I've read it, but I'm gonna watch and reread it again, which we'll get back to in a little bit. But so it was very exciting that even though so much is different, there was enough in the atmosphere of this film that I'm writing that she was able to go, ah, this relates to this movie, if that makes sense. I was really glad that that came through. Most of the notes that she gave me were world building notes, and I'm really blessed, and you know what, God is good, because this was not intentional, okay? The last 2 people I've given the screenplay to for feedback, so my cousin and then my friend, they both, this is why I'm saying I'm sorry because I'm keeping this so vague, they both have lived experiences of the environment that I'm writing about. Yeah, so I don't know if you've watched my earlier vlogs talking about, there's an environment that I'm writing about that I have not necessarily lived through, and so I was kind of just guessing a few elements of it, and I did some research, and I did way more research after the last draft, after that first round of feedback, because he was like, oh, there's little nuances here that aren't quite what that environment would be like. So I went and made loads of notes, right? I went, did research, made changes. The notes my cousin gave me, when I tell you about almost 2 pages of notes, are very specific details. Like, she went through every single thing that's jumped out to her in the script that wouldn't quite seem like that environment. And she gave me like, each point has a good 6 lines of really detailed, this is why, or was my experience, or da da da. So it was really helpful because, like I said, it was intentional on my behalf. I wasn't like, let me go and seek out feedback from people who have lived through that environment. It was just, let me seek feedback from people that I trust to give me good feedback. But they both have lived experience of this environment, and it's so helpful. So I'm literally, I think it's basically every single world building thing that she's put here, I'm going to implement into the script. Like, there's no reason for me to not. Maybe there's like one thing to think about, but basically it's all just like, it's all those suggestions are just going straight into the script, right? And it won't take long. Even though looking at it, it's a lot of notes, it's very small things. Like, some of them are like one word, change that one word to make it more like this environment, right? So That will not take long, which is really exciting. Next bunch of notes we have are style notes. This is more to do with screenwriting convention, and there's only 3 notes of those, and again they're all very easy changes. One of them I thought I had changed, but then I reread the script after she gave me feedback and I was like, oh, that's still there. So we need to change a few of those things. But there's a few spacing things, one transition to change. So yeah, that feels good. The third thing is the structure, the pacing, and the foreshadowing. Oh, something else I've done as well is I've almost removed all the things that she said that she really enjoyed. I've kept maybe 1 or 2 in there because I know myself, and during the editing process it's nice to have some encouragement in there. So I mean, she said lots of things that she really liked, but I think I kept 2 of those comments in because this list is really the master list for editing. But I can see 1 comment about, oh, this is fantastic, I've left in there. So a lot of these things are quite small, but some of them are things I need to make decisions about. So it is thinking process, and there is one big structural thing that I need to think about. So that's probably the biggest change. It's funny because she said, oh, like, I was worried about giving you 3 pages of notes because I didn't want it to seem demoralizing. And I think I'm so used to getting writing feedback that this is very encouraging. I came away from that that call very excited to keep working on this because I was like, oh, we're almost there. There is, in my, like, from looking at her notes, even though they're detailed and long, they reach 3 pages, a lot of it is because she's really expanded upon each individual note. She hasn't just written it half-heartedly. She's really expanded everything. And lots of these changes are very minute, very, very minute. It's phrasing, it's little things like, oh, can I see this character again in 1 line, you know? Not things that are going to take a lot of time. So I'm not discouraged at all. I think the biggest thing is that one big structure thing that she mentioned, but everything else, I'm like, let's go, quick, easy. Character are my next sections of notes. I have one character who is a flawed but funny character, and yeah, the note was just to develop her more because we don't want her to seem one-dimensional. We just want her to have a few more flaws and to make those flaws a bit more obvious. See, that's a compliment. I should probably get rid of that one. See, that's a compliment. Okay, there's a couple of compliments in here. Yeah, to bring back one other character. And then the small miscellaneous one was just a mistake that I hadn't realized carried on from one draft, and the other again is a small thing that can be fixed with 1 line. So I am really encouraged. I'm looking at now, because of the way I've broken things up, I now have it now presents as 4 pages of notes, but it's good, it's very good. So that's been my process. I'd be really interested to know, like, what your process of receiving feedback is like. How do you operate? I know some people, like, I've done beta reading for people on YouTube before where I left track comments, and I wonder, how do you just work through them? Do you collate them in any sort of way? I love putting things into themes. So character, world building, plot, whatever it is, because it just makes it a lot clearer in my head, and I can just tackle all the world building notes together, and I can very clearly indicate where I am in my edits, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean I have to do 1 round only on world building. It makes more sense. Anyway, so yeah, that's a screenplay progress update. It's going very, very well, and she said it was a really, really good script, and very well executed, and she loved it. And she said it was and she also said thank you for sending a really good script and story. So even with all these changes, she really liked it, and it works, you know, like, I need to fix these things and it'll work. So I'm excited. So thank you, cuz, if you're watching this video. Incredibly helpful, and I'm looking forward to working on the screenplay and properly finishing it. I will keep you updated. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment down below, how do you organize feedback? I'd just be very interested to know. I know there's some people out there with some complicated feedback processes, but maybe yours is even more simple than mine. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with a friend, because let's share the writer vibes. Okay, bye.